Welcome on in, WIP Daily. Joe Giglio with you. Appreciate everyone, as always, who subscribes, follows, and watches and listens to this show. And, of course, the video feed, 94 WIP, the YouTube page. We're putting up a lot of podcasts there, a lot of video podcasts on the YouTube page. Subscribe, and you'll get them as soon as they go up. And Tucker, of course, Tucker Bagley joins me on all the video podcasts. So, we're getting close now. Eagles training camp is right around the corner. It starts next week. I can't wait. And this year, I'm going to have a different perspective than in some past years. I think the 2017 Super Bowl season, I was able to go out a couple times and just take in camp and watch it. And the last, I think twice, certainly last summer, I went to the open practice, which a lot of people go to the open practice and get a chance to watch the team, live. And there's something to that. There's something to see it a little bit more in person. And obviously things have changed from the past when so many of you that are watching this right now, you probably went up to Lehigh or went back in the day, Westchester, and watched the Eagles practice. And it's not like that anymore. I know some people once in a while get a chance to go, and then the open practice, 25,000 or whatever will go to that. But day in, day out, it's not the same as seeing it. And this year, I'm going to be able to have the opportunity with Hugh on the midday show to be out there. I think our show will be out there 5 times, and I'll be around for most of those to go and see practice. So I'm excited to see the Eagles in training camp, just like all of us are, and to follow training camp. But this year I'm excited to just get my eyes literally on the team in person and tell you guys what I see. So I thought today would be fun to talk about the 5 players I'm most excited to watch in training camp this year. And we'll get Tucker's thoughts at the end here on my list and anyone he also has his eye on and following this training camp. As the Eagles come in with, as you'd expect and as warranted, tremendous hype. I mean, the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC. I do think they've had a pretty significant talent defection in free agency, but they have added some good players, and the expectation should be to go back to the Super Bowl. That should be the expectation for this Eagles team, to go back and to win the Super Bowl. That is how good they are and how good they can be. And there's a lot of players they're going to have to try to step into roles this year or kind of take another step from where they were last year. So I've got 5 players I have my eye on, and they're all in different stages of their careers, all in different stages of kind of where they are on the depth chart. But I think all of them are significantly important for both maybe now and the future. And I can't wait to watch them on the practice field and to see what the Eagles really have in these guys. All right, let's start with number 1, and that's Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean, drafted last year in the 3rd round. So much excitement. I've never seen a 3rd-round pick generate more excitement than Nakobe Dean. And last year, because of a couple things. 1, the team was so good. It was successful what they were doing. 2 veterans above him on the depth chart with TJ Edwards and Kaiser White. Nakobe Dean barely saw the field. He was a special teamer. He played a lot in the Titans game, some of the blowouts. But he basically was a non-entity in his rookie season. And I put that almost at no fault of his own. He had 2 better players above him on the depth chart. Those guys are both gone now. This is Nakobe Dean's linebacker room now. And to the point where I think he has to play even if he isn't quite where they want him to be, because the other linebacker spot, which I suppose is Nicholas Morrow right now, is even more of a question mark. So there's no question in my mind Nakobe Dean will play and will start. He's going to have the green dot. He's going to call the defense. He is the voice of the defense now. And he's got to take a role that I thought TJ Edwards played last year. Now, I think Dean is more gifted physically than Edwards, more gifted physically than Kaiser White. I'm not worried about his size. People keep saying this thing about his size. Look at the modern NFL linebacker. He's 5'11", 230. I mean, how big is the modern NFL linebacker in a league where it's spread offenses? 240? I mean, 250? I mean, no, and I think there's a lot of guys probably more in that 240 range. Dean puts on 5 or 6 pounds. And I look at him as a typical NFL linebacker in today's game. He's a little short. Yeah, I guess he's a little bit short, but Zach Thomas was short. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Ray Lewis was short. He's the best linebacker I've ever watched in my life. So the physical stuff doesn't worry me with Nakobe Dean. I think physically, in terms of his stature, he'll be fine. I am very interested to see how he handles the rigor of everything, because remember the story coming out of Georgia was injuries, the pec issue. It's why he fell to the 3rd round. Can he withstand the physicality, play to play, to stand up and play every down? TJ Edwards last year, it's one of the things that I think we've lost sight of. Edwards and White, but specifically Edwards, almost never came off the field. Nakobe Dean, is he ready for this? Is he ready for all that goes into being and handling the responsibilities of the position? the Eagles have drafted him to take. I like him. I think he's going to be a really good player. Hopefully he holds up physically. I'm not worried about his size. I think that is way overblown when it comes to Nakobe Dean. Number 2, and this might surprise you, but I liked what I saw last year from this player, and I think he's set up to start, and I think he's set up to actually become, what could be a mainstay on this defense for a few years, and that is Reed Blankenship. As things evolve with the Eagles, and as they decide to where they're going to pour their resources here, it's pretty clear they're paying at corner, they're paying at quarterback, they're paying at wide receiver, they're paying on the offensive line, they're paying on the defensive line. I think it's pretty easy to see as time goes on, and I think the Eagles are being copied by a lot of teams in the NFL. They're not going to pay at safety, they're not going to pay at linebacker, they're not going to pay at running back. They're just not going to pay at those positions. So they're going to need mid-late round picks to become something. And I could have chosen Sidney Brown here at the safety position, and I'm excited to see him. But I think when you have a mid to late round pick, rookie, I'm going to reserve, he's going to play right away, excitement. Blankenship is ahead of him, ahead of Sidney Brown, ahead of even Terrell Edmonds, the veteran, coming in, because he's a year into this with this group. He's a year into chemistry with these other D-backs. He got on the field last year and helped a team that eventually won the NFC and got to the Super Bowl. And I think there's more to Reed Blankenship than his draft status would have told you. Marcus Epps was a guy who bounced around, late round pick, obviously Vikings to Eagles, took a couple years, special teams, and then he popped. Blankenship, now his trajectory seems faster than that. He's already playing and projected to start. He could pop. I think there's a player there that could hit, has a nose for the football. And I think the Eagles made a calculated decision this offseason to let both their safeties go, even though neither got a lot of money. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is now public enemy number 1 because he hates everyone in Philadelphia, apparently. And Epps, they didn't get big contracts. The Eagles could have matched either of those deals, especially the Epps deal. They chose not to because I think they're comfortable with Blankenship. I'm excited to see what kind of leap he takes from year 1 to year 2. So Dean's the first guy I want to watch. Number 2, Reed Blankenship. Number 3, and much like the Blankenship over Sidney Brown choice, this might surprise you, but I'm most excited to watch Jordan Davis this summer and at training camp when I'm out there this year, even more than I am Jalen Carter. I have a feel for what Jalen Carter is. Now, it's a matter of, can Jalen Carter keep his head on straight? Can he keep his weight in check? Does he have the drive to be a great player in the NFL? Those are the questions that I mean, look, I could look at him. I could look at a picture or a video and not be at training camp and be at 3,000 miles away and tell you he's in shape or he's not. That doesn't seem too hard. Is he overweight or not? I don't think we're going to know the answers to the Jalen Carter questions in training camp. That's going to be a long-term thing when the season starts, when adversity hits. Hopefully there's nothing else off the field that happens. But let's see how it plays out with Jalen Carter. Physically, I think we know what he could do. He's a monster. Jordan Davis, I don't think we know what he could do. That's what's the intrigue on Jordan Davis. Can he become a pass rusher? Is he going to? How does he look physically, and how quick is he off the ball as a pass rusher? Can he build on what I thought he was doing, September into October before that ankle injury happened? I really thought it kind of set him back, and high ankle injuries could set any player back. But I'm excited to see if Jordan Davis has grown, and I don't mean physically, just mentally and with his repertoire as a defensive lineman, and could he help this team replace? They lost a lot of pass rush with Javon Hargrave leaving. And I don't think one guy's going to replace that, but can 2 guys or 3 guys replace that as they rotate the snaps? Can they get 10 or 11 sacks from Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Milton Williams combined? Can they combine for what Hargrave did last year? Perhaps. So that's a big one I'm watching to see how good Jordan Davis looks. My third guy is actually a rookie, and he's the rookie I'm most excited about on this team. And you might say, Joe, he's buried on the depth chart. How much sex should give as a rookie? Injuries happen all the time. And there's few positions that are more important than pass rusher. And for the Eagles, they base their entire defense off of getting pressure. And we've seen, last year it was Derek Barnett who is back, and I bet a lot of people wouldn't even realize that. And then the year before was Brandon Graham. It's almost like, and I don't want to put this in the atmosphere, but it's just the reality of the NFL. The Eagles and almost every team will probably lose a defensive lineman over the course of the summer, early in the season. Well, you need depth there, and the depth suddenly has to play. Nolan Smith is my favorite draft pick the Eagles made. If I had to bet on one guy in this draft class to become an Eagles Hall of Famer, a long-term Eagle, a future Pro Bowler, it's Nolan Smith. I think the kid has everything you want upstairs. And physically, he really has some traits like a Hassan Reddick. And I would not be surprised if Nolan Smith gets on the field earlier than you think and contributes more than we think. 4, 5, 6 sacks would not shock me at all. I can't wait to watch him out there. His energy, just when I watched Georgia, when I've listened to him talk, completely infectious. I think he will become a team leader here very quickly. So Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith. I'll get my last one and then bring Tucker on to give his thoughts on these guys or anyone that he's really had his eye on. So I'm going to give you a veteran that just arrived here. And I think based on a lot of things, but certainly based on what they did after that, I think it's flown under the radar, the player this guy can be, and that is Rashad Penny. I can't wait to watch him. I believe he is the Eagles' best running back right now, and it wouldn't shock me at all if he has a healthy season. I know it's the biggest if with the Eagles for Penny's health because he's never seemingly healthy. It wouldn't shock me if he has a ridiculous season. His career so far has been marred by injuries, not by an ability to play. When he plays, he's one of the most explosive power running backs in the NFL. Behind this offensive line, he could have games, and I don't know if he's going to play 17, and he probably won't, but he could have games where he carries the ball 11 times for 175 yards. That's how good he is, and that's how explosive he is. He is just play for play, talent-wise, a better player than Miles Sanders. I know DeAndre Swift has everyone excited, local kid. He'll catch the ball in the backfield. But at the running back position, I just want to watch Penny when I am at practice to see how does he look physically? Is the explosion still there? Because sometimes with running backs, after all the injuries set in, the explosion kind of goes away. Is it still there? I think running back's one of those positions where you just see it instantly. I remember being at camp in 2017, and I got to see Corey Clement there. And he was an undrafted rookie out of Wisconsin. I followed his college career, and I said, wow. And he looks explosive. And I mean, I didn't know he was going to become what he became during that season for the Eagles, but I could see he had some explosiveness to him. I'm hoping that explosiveness is there with Penny. If it is, and he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a guy where like, how we get him, for the small price he did. So for me, it's the Kobe, it's Blankenship, it's Jordan Davis, it's Nolan Smith, and it's Rashad Penny. Those are the 5 Eagles, Tucker. I'm most excited to watch here in training camp. What do you think of that group, and then anyone on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a group where everyone sort of comes in with a question mark, and maybe some players like Reed Blankenship, you're kind of saying, well, do it again. And I think it's weird because he's coming off a near MVP season, but I might throw Jalen Hurts in that group too. And I think back to 2018 and that training camp, and things were a little different because he was coming off a pretty major injury, but Carson Wentz really struggled in 2018 training camp, and people pretended that it didn't happen. Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's fine. When the year before, he lit the world on fire. He was unbelievable in practice, and all you have to do is go and ask our friend Elliot Shore Parks how he did, and he'll have every single throw charted. But I think back to that 2018, and he struggled in training camp, and it's not a big deal. He's coming back, and obviously that was indicative of things to come. And if I'm looking at Jalen Hurts and he's the future of this franchise based on the contract he's gotten, based on how many resources this team has poured in to his development, I need to see him showing up every day too. And it's tough because the Eagles don't practice a whole lot. But I think that and the running back rotation, including Rashad Penny, but how are they splitting snaps? Because it felt like Rashad Penny was going to be the lead back until they made that trade for DeAndre Swift. And it felt like they liked something in Trey Sermon to keep him around. Maybe he'd have a big part in the rotation, but now he's really like number 4 on the depth chart, kind of right back where he was with Boston Scott returning as well. So I'm curious how these carries throughout training camp are kind of distributed, because it feels like they, took 2 starting running backs who both struggle to stay healthy in Swift and Penny, who have been lead backs in their previous stops. Maybe they fit better as a committee, but where do the other 2 guys fit in who maybe before the start of the free agency kind of felt like they were the 2 guys, like they felt okay saying, hey, Trey Sermon, Boston Scott, and maybe a 5th round pick will be okay. I'm curious what they think they're going to do there, because Rashad Penny obviously fits the bill as an early down running back. DeAndre Swift fits the bill as a 3rd down running back, but I don't know. I think for a team that's really based around the rushing attack, for a team that maybe doesn't want their quarterback running the ball as much as he did a year ago, having that rotation, all figured out and set up heading into week one, I think will be huge for this team because if they want to win, if they want to help Jalen Hurts stay healthy for all 17 games and maybe win an MVP, they're going to have to figure out what they're doing at running back right now because now it just kind of seems like a mismatch of parts, and they have to figure out how they all fit together.
Yeah, it's the running back and how they're going to roll it out is totally uncertain right now. I mean, Tucker brings up a good point. They have a lot, and you throw Gainwell in there. I mean, Kenny Gainwell might be the best bet to have the most carries because he's the most durable. And I could see the Eagles this year having one of those running back rooms, and I think Penny, if healthy, will be their best back. But like the Patriots for years, no one want to draft their running backs in fantasy because you never know which one Bill Belichick would use. The guy would have 100 yards. Next week, someone else would be the guy. The Eagles could do that this year. They could have one of those running back groups where one week it's, like I said, 11 for 160 for Rashad Penny. Next week it's DeAndre Swift with 9 catches out of the backfield and the most touches. The next week it's Gainwell with 16. Like it could be all over the place. I just think Penny's talent is off the charts if he could stay healthy. Can't wait to watch him out there. We are so close to Eagles training camp. Appreciate everyone watching, listening, subscribing. WIP Daily. We'll talk tomorrow, probably with some more thoughts on the Eagles and where they rank right now in the hierarchy of the NFL entering the training camp period across the league. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Talk soon right here on WIP Daily.